Hello, my name is Kai Gray, and I'm here today to talk to you about how to be the best ally to trans people that you can be. So, in light of a recent coming out of a famous Haligonian, Elliot Page, who was in movies such as Hard Candy, Juno, Inception, Whip It, very well known, I thought it would be a good idea to talk to people about pronouns and what trans means and what non binary means. And let's get started. That's my cat. So, we can start with trans. So, trans is short for transgender. That means people who are assigned a certain gender at birth, such as male, and who grow up or just realize, oh, just because you've been treating me like a boy all my life doesn't mean that's actually my gender. I may be female, I may be non binary, or I may be just have no gender at all. So even though you'd say I'm male, doesn't mean it's true. So trans or transgender people, that's what we're talking about. And people who aren't transgender are cisgender. So that means people who are assigned a gender at birth and feel that aligns with their identity. Someone who is born, is told they're a male, told they're a boy, and is like, yep, that's my gender. I am, in fact, a boy. And then pronouns. So pronouns are the words we use to refer to objects as well as people. So it as well as they, he, or she. And they is a popular pronoun for people who do not have a gender or who have a gender that is not male or female, which is all of what non-binary means. So, if you're wondering how best to be an ally to a non binary person in your life or a trans person in your life, it's going to start with believing them. So it's a pretty common response for family or friends that have known people for a long time to assume that they know someone better than they know themselves. And I understand where that instinct comes from, but it ultimately is kind of patronizing. And I think it's best to think of it in terms of spirituality or religion. If someone comes to you and says, you know what, I know I've been an atheist all my life, but suddenly I believe in God, or I'm converting to Wiccanism or Judaism, you wouldn't disrespect them and say, I don't believe you believe that, or I don't believe that's your true identity. That's none of our business. And I think it's important to frame that the same way for gender. If someone comes to you and says, I've been thinking about it, and I know that I'm a very feminine person, but I think I'm meant to be a boy. I'd like to be referred to with he and they pronouns or he pronouns. You gotta believe them. If you want to maintain a healthy relationship with that person, even if you think in the long run they're not going to stick with it, that's not our business. We can't tell people who they are. And then from there, it's going to be about practicing pronouns. So if you've been using she pronouns for someone their entire life, it can be understandably hard to switch to new pronouns for them. So, as awkward as it may seem, practice makes perfect. So, even if you're alone, if you see a picture of them come up on Instagram or you think about a memory you had with them, you may have previously thought, oh, she looked so good in that shirt. And then you've got to correct yourself. You can out loud or in your mind think, no, he looks good in that shirt. I met him when he was 7. He has brown hair. That backpack belongs to him. Just little ways that you can correct yourself. And another good way to go about, if you potentially mess up someone's pronouns, is to not make it about you, which may sound obvious, but people do it all the time without realizing. When they're apologizing and they're saying, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm such a bad person, I've been trying so hard to get your pronouns right, and I just can't, it's too hard for me. You're asking the trans person or the person who's non-binary in front of you to comfort you, to coddle you, to say, oh no, it's all right, you're not a bad person, even if internally they're feeling very hurt. The best thing you can do if you can say, oh, that belongs to him, you can correct yourself. If you're talking about a trans woman, say, oh, I'm sorry, that belongs to her. If someone else corrects you, say thank you. If that trans person you know and care about says, hey, I use she pronouns now, can you please use those for me? You can say, yep, thank you for correcting me. And say, she's great at this, or whatever. So yeah, those are just some simple tools to be the best ally you can be. It's really important not to let your privilege and your lack of experience with non-binary and trans people to get between friendship and like really meaningful relationships. So that's a nice starter kit for what you can do to help the trans people in your life every day. So I hope you take that advice and pass it on to other people.